Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this ACT Scores Back event powered by ACT Online Prep Live with Kaplan. I'm Kaplan instructor Stephanie, and I want to give you a warm welcome, and also on behalf of some of my fantastic colleagues who are also here. You may have already been chatting with them in the chat. Please give an especially warm welcome to Heather, Greg, and Laura. So in this next hour, we are going to take a look at how you can understand your ACT score report. What does it mean? What does it tell you? And most importantly, what should you do now that you have those scores? What are your next steps? I mean, that's really, of course, why you're taking the ACT. The ACT is not the end in and of itself. It is, in fact, just one step towards a greater end. So let's take a look at some of our objectives for the next hour. We are going to, like I say, talk about what your scores mean. And I don't necessarily just mean what they mean in terms of a numeric value, like what is average, what are these penalties, but what does it really mean for you? What should you do with your scores now that you have them? Are you done with the ACT? Fantastic. Or maybe you want to decide upon reviewing your scores that you want to retake it. And that can be a fantastic decision as well. We're going to make sure you have all of that information available to you so that you can make an informed decision of what to do next. Of course, if you do want to retake the ACT, we want to be sure that you know all the resources that you have available to you so that you can maximize them, maximize your use of them between now and your next test day. And if you decide, you know what, I'm really happy with my ACT scores, they are exactly where I want to be, then we can talk about your next steps, which is, college and career readiness. So that's what's on the docket for today. Now, I want you to take a second, self-reflect. And we've got a poll there to the right side of the screen. You can see that poll, you can toggle over to it. And tell us, when you really think about it, who did you take the ACT for? Did you take it for yourself? Did you take it because your parents or your teachers, told you needed to? Did you take it because your guidance counselor said that you had to? Or someone encouraged you? Who did you take the ACT for? And it may seem like a kind of a silly question, but so much effort and motivation that goes into the ACT has to come from within. So if you are taking the ACT for external purposes, it may be time for you to reorient your mindset just a little bit. And we hope that at the end of this, you'll understand what the ACT means for you. If in fact you were thinking, you know what? I don't really think I took it for myself. I think I took it to please someone else. So I want to talk about another test that you may have recently taken, or maybe it's coming up shortly in your life, and I'm talking about the driving test. How many of you have recently taken the driving test or are looking ahead on that calendar? And you're like, here's my birthday coming up. Can't wait to take it. Now, sample scenario here. When you go and take that driving test, tell Heather and tell Laura, tell Greg, tell me here in the chat, why do you do it? Why do you take the driving test at the DMV? Because I'm willing to bet that you aren't sitting there thinking, well, you know what? I take the driving test because I really want to make the driving instructor official who's like evaluating me, I really want to make that person proud. I'm taking it because, gosh, you know what? The people at the DMV, man, they told me I needed to take it, so I'm taking it for them. I'm taking it so that they can like put a check mark next to how many people took the driving test, right? No, you take the driving test for a couple of reasons. One, the immediate reason is that you take it to get your driver's license. But that's not it, right? You don't just get your driver's license and then take a picture and put it on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat and be like, boom, got my driver's license, done, end of story. The license itself, what does it allow you to do? It's a license to drive. So it's not about getting a license. It's about what it opens up for you. freedom of movement, abilities to go other places. And that's kind of in essence what the ACT does. So I know a lot of you are saying, well, I took the ACT for college admissions officers. And in some way, that's like saying that you took the driving test for the person who was evaluating you at the DMV and like going to stamp and sign off to get your license. You know, you take the driving test because it's a step in the process to getting that license so that you can drive. And the ACT is similar. You take the ACT, yes, because college admissions officials want it, but what does that mean for you? You want to go to college or to trade school or to vocational or technical school, and that's why you're taking the ACT. The ACT in and of itself is just like your driver's license. If you don't do anything with it, all you have is a school report. All you have is a piece of paper or a little card that fits in your wallet. It's what doors it opens up for you. It's the freedom that it allows you and those paths that it can set you on. That's really why you're taking the ACT, just like that's what the driver's license does in its entirety. So that's a little bit what makes the ACT different in this case. You know, it's not about the test itself, but about what doors it opens up. Now, this is also where that DMV example fails, though, because the DMV test, the driving test, is like you either passed it or you didn't. You're going to walk out of that DMV like with a passing grade, or you're going to have to sign up and take it again. The ACT, though, isn't that way. It's not pass-fail. So you have to determine what your score means and what the right score is for you on that scale of 1 to 36. So let's talk about what is a good ACT score. Go ahead and tell Greg and Heather, Laura and myself, what do you think how do you assess a good ACT score? What do you think a good ACT score means? Even that phrase, good ACT score. I know for a lot of you, it's probably going to, your initial reaction is to tell us some number that you have heard or that you have seen or have been told, or maybe you have an internal sense that this number on the scale of 1 to 36 is what a good score is. And that number that you're giving us may in fact be a good score for you. But when we think about what makes something good, there's two approaches we have to take. The first one we're well aware of. It's what's going to allow you to get into that target college or university. So a good score for you in one sense is what's going to open up those doors and have those college admissions officials look at your ACT report and say, all right, yes, this student, meets the level that we're looking at. Fantastic. Let's offer admission, right? So that's one thing that makes a good ACT score. That is, of course, going to vary widely depending on where you want to go, because many universities accept scores in a wide range. Sometimes you're looking anywhere from like 19 to 34 as like target scores. That's a huge range. So it really is going to depend on where you personally are aiming. But there's a second marker of a good ACT score. And this is one that sometimes gets overlooked. And when I'm talking about future success, I'm not talking about your future success, in all of life. So I'm not talking about, you're a successful, salary, or whether you're going to be a success or a failure as a person. What we're talking about here is your success in college, in especially that first year of university. So what we see on your score report, so if you get your score report, now this is an online version of it right here. You can download a PDF. And the first thing you'll see here is your composite score. So this is an average of the 4 multiple choice tests, the English, math, reading, and science test. And you also see off to your right, a place that indicates whether or not you've reached college benchmark readiness. So let's take a look at what this readiness benchmark means. So here's that definition. It means that you are equipped to enroll, we already talked about that first part, but to enroll and succeed without remediation in a credit-bearing first year course. So there's some really important words here. Without remediation and a credit-bearing first year course. So here's the thing, even if you're offered admission, you may be offered admission to a university, but when you place into certain class levels, you may be given a provisional acceptance, or you may be just full out accepted, but have to take a non-credit bearing course. What would you consider to be success in a freshman level college class? And here are some, kind of sample, pretty standard first year courses: English, comp, college algebra, social sciences could be like anthropology or sociology or history, kind of depending on what field you're going into. First year science biology course. What do you personally consider success? Go ahead, tell us in that poll. So what these benchmarks indicate is they correlate to how students tend to do in these first year courses. So you can see the English test, well, this correlates to how well students perform in college English composition their freshman year. Math test, that aligns with college algebra. That reading test, that goes, like I said, to that kind of category of social science tests. There's a wide range of courses that you can take at the university level that will satisfy that. And the science test correlates to an intro freshman level biology class. So this tells you, if you've met benchmark, this says that about 50%, you have a 50% chance of earning a B in that course. You have a 75% chance of earning a C in that course. Now, of course, this is going to be slightly different, of course, depending on which exact institution you're at, but that is the level of preparedness that you're set at. So I see a lot of you are saying, well, A and B is for, like, that's what's going to be successful for me. And in fact, at the college level, you won't be allowed to continue to take courses if you don't pass with a C or higher. So if you got a D, or a failing grade, or whether that's an E or an F, depending on the institution, you wouldn't be allowed to move on to the next level of course. For benchmark readiness, we're looking at an 18 for the English test. So again, this is corresponding to a 50% chance of getting a B in an English composition class. Now for the math and the reading, we're looking at a 22. Now again, and this is, remember, college readiness is something that is credit bearing without remediation. So if you go to college, but you're not ready for that college level algebra course, you do sometimes have the option of taking a lower level math class, but you have to pay for it and it doesn't count towards your degree. So that can be a really expensive way of holding you back in college. You're there, you're paying for it, but you're not making any progress towards graduation. So these benchmark readiness markers, the idea here is that you go into college with them so that you are set up to succeed, take these credit-bearing courses that count towards your degree, and pass them successfully, moving on to the next course. Science, you're looking there at a 23. I mentioned this is kind of a national average. So certainly if your aim is to go to a very highly competitive school, if you're looking at like a Harvard or Stanford, then these benchmark readiness markers may not in fact indicate a 50% chance of getting a B, but it is saying that you're set up with the basic level skills. If you're looking at going into a STEM field, then you're wanting to aim for a 26. 26 is indicative of success, B or higher, or 75% chance of getting a C or higher in a STEM program. So if you're looking at science, technology, engineering, math, then you're wanting to see those scores go up a little bit more. So this is what a printed student score report would look like. So you can see where you are compared to some of these benchmarks. So at the top, you're going to see a breakdown of the 4 multiple choice tests along with your composite. And a breakdown here you see of the STEM and the ELA score. ELA standing for English Language Arts, and STEM is this math science. So the blue or the green, this is your score range. And then you can see that purple line with a dot is the readiness benchmark. So this is going to allow you to break it down and say, are you meeting benchmark? Are you over the benchmark? Where are you relative to where you would want to be in order to be successful your first year of college? You can also see down here at the bottom, there's various national rankings as well as state rankings, breaking that down as well. Now, if you look below that, now you'll see this broken up into subscores. The subscores are going to give you more information on where you want to focus if you're going to improve those particular areas. So for instance, this student in math, number and quantity, this student's doing really well here, but they have some areas for improvement in places like geometry, and certainly in places like modeling. This would be one of those bigger areas that they would want to target. So you can see where you're meeting benchmark as a whole, but then you can also look to see, okay, which specific skills within math, for instance, or within English, am I still not quite meeting benchmark status? Now, if you decide to take the writing test, you'll also see there in the corner your writing test breakdown with your 4 different subscores and then your overall writing score. You can see that this is scaled from 1 to 6 from 2 graders, so that sums up to a total score out of 12. Now, if you look at this online, you're going to get the same information, but it's going to be in a slightly different location. So here you would want to scroll down, and this is where you're going to see that writing breakdown. And you'll also see those English language arts and the STEM breakdown. So the English language arts, this is that composite of the English, reading, and the writing. If you took that, you'll see that there. And STEM is the average of your math and your science. We've also got some others here to take a look at. So you see this understanding complex texts, and then you see a progress towards career readiness. So let's take a look first at this understanding complex text. This one is really important. You're going to be doing a lot of reading and textual analysis at college, in university, not just in your English composition classes, but in all of your courses. They're going to require you to be able to really kind of dig in and understand what's going on. So this proficiency here is going to be a good indicator of whether or not you are prepared for college level work. We also have this progress towards career readiness, and we're going to come back and talk about that one a little bit more at the end. So when you saw in that report, you saw that there was a range of scores. So if you were to say score, let's say you scored a 23, then that's going to fall right here in this 20 to 23 range. And that's why you also see those ranges in that printed score report that you just saw. What ACT has found is when it comes to what skills students have, think of these scores as indicating proficiency in certain skills. And then we can cluster these into 13 to 15, 16 to 18. You can see it goes all the way up to 33 to 36. There's nothing below 12 because the data just doesn't correlate with scores below 12. But what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to look at your score and get a pretty good idea of the skills that you are proficient in and the skills that you need to focus on in order to move yourself up to that next score range. So let's take a look at an example of this. By the way, if you already have access to Online Prep Live, you can see this right from your Online Prep homepage. If you don't have that, you can find this from act.org, and this information is under the Education and Career Planning page. So that's where you can locate the information that I'm about to show you after this session. So here's a sample English topic. Specifically, we're looking at organization, unity, and cohesion. So here's the test, and here is that subscore, that standard. And so now we can see, so this student, let's say the student scored a 23. Well, that means that these areas right here, the 13 to 15 range, the 16 to 19 range, and the 20 to 23 range, these are areas where this student is already proficient. If this student wants to improve their score, they're going to focus then on the specific skills that are right there in that 24 to 27 range, because that's going to be the next step of their skill development. That's what's going to help increase their English score under organization, unity, and cohesion. So tell Heather and Greg and Laura and myself, tell us here in the chat, how does this information help you? How does it help you prepare for college? How does it help you prepare for the college admissions process? I mean, it's great that all this information is here, but what can you do with it? Now, one thing that you can think about when looking at this is, well, if I decide to retake the ACT, if I decide that my scores are not currently where I want them to be, then these are places that I'll be able to focus on as I study specifically for the ACT. But there's another good place that this indicates what you should do, and that happens to be when you're thinking about your schedule for senior year, or if you're a sophomore thinking about, the next upcoming year. Even though you're likely taking the majority of these tests your junior year, think about what these skills that you can still obtain that last year of school before college, because remember, it's not just about getting that score to get into college. It's also how are you going to succeed once you're there. So even if you're satisfied with your score, you should still be looking at that next range and say, okay, I'm satisfied with my score. This is what I want for ACT admissions, but what skills can I still continue to hone before I show up on that college campus so that you are ready to go and put your best foot forward from day one. So if you haven't met college readiness benchmark, think about the most rigorous courses that you could take in that final year of high school. And even if you have met college readiness benchmark standards, continue to challenge yourself, because the more you challenge yourself now senior year, the less of a challenge you will face once you transition into college. I know sometimes it can feel like, oh man, junior year was such a rough year. It's like, well, you earn a break, right? I'm sure you've all heard of like senioritis, kind of that desire to just kind of coast on out through the end of a high school. But keep that pedal on the gas. No coasting here. I'm still sticking with that DMV car metaphor. You want to just continue strong right up until that first day of your freshman year, because this is really telling you the skills that you can further develop. And you're going to have to develop them at some point if you're going to be a successful college student, and if you're going to be a successful graduate within 4 years, or depending on how long the length of your particular course or program is. So you might as well start to develop them now, when they will benefit you in the long run. So here we've got a little bit more. Now, this is not in your online report. This is in the backside of the printed report, but I'll also show you how you can access some of this from that online report in just a moment. So speaking of college and career planning, when you signed up for the ACT, you completed an interest inventory. Now, you weren't just completing this, for the fun of it. You are completing it because the ACT has a lot of information and planning resources that can help you decide what's going to be a good fit for you at university based on your specific interests and your specific skills. This is all here in your ACT profile. So the college and career planning indicates some potential occupations that may be suited towards your particular interests. If you go down further, you also see an interest in major. So you also potentially indicated a major that you were interested in. And this shows you how close your interest, your skill interests, align to the major that you had indicated. Finally, you have this place down here, which shows your national career readiness. So national career readiness is indicating the skills of job success across industries, across disciplines. Are your scores indicative of having the skills that are going to set you up for success in the job market outside of college classes, but in that career field that you're aiming towards? So all this you can find, like I said, on the back of the printed score report. Now, let's go back to this right here. So I said you can also find this here in your online score report, and that's this progress towards career readiness. So if you click there on that learn more, that's there going to take you back to that information here in your online score report. So why don't you tell us in the chat, so what are some of your plans for after college? Or what are some of your intended majors in college? Do you know what you want to do afterwards? Do you maybe just know what you want to major in? Maybe they align. Maybe you're not quite certain how they align, or maybe you're not quite certain about either one. There's quite a few resources in your ACT profile that can help you get some of that additional information, winnow it down so that you can make some decisions for yourself. So here's how you can focus in on some of those steps. So what are your options after high school? Well, the ACT profile offers this is called the major map to help you think about various careers and majors. You've got your major map, you've got your career map to look at some of those possibilities. Now, maybe the perfect major for you is one that you haven't heard of yet. But it's out there. And if only you knew about it, it would be a fantastic fit for what you want to do, your interests, and what you hope your career to be. Maybe you know the career that you want to go to, but you're not quite certain how your college preparation, your courses are going to lead you there. So this can help you indicate what would be a good major for the field that you want to go into based on your abilities and based on your goals. And of course, there's also some information if you know what you want to study and you know what you want to do with it. Where do you want to do that studying? Where do you want to go? So there's some search tools here on your ACT profile as well that can help you look at things like location, majors offered, the cost, a whole wide range of search tools that can help you figure out your particular maybe goal schools if you're not entirely sure where exactly you want to apply. Maybe you have some idea. Maybe that perfect school is still out there and it just hasn't popped up on your radar yet. So here's some of these specific tools that I was mentioning. So this right here is the major map. So when you took the inventory, it's going to plot the different major fields that match your interest level. So black, these are all the different major groups. And then anything that matches blue for you, this is one that matches that inventory that you assess there. So this can be a great place to kind of explore some majors that maybe you didn't know were out there, or just to see some other closely related majors to those that you have indicated. If you're looking at a school that doesn't have the exact major that you wanted, but then you say, oh, is this close? Maybe you find another one that is, a better fit because the school's a better fit and the program has some additional nuances that help fit your interest level better. This can also be a place, check out some of those other groups as well. Anything that strikes your interest, it can be a good way just to explore potential majors that are out there. Similarly, with the career map. So this is going to do the same thing as the major map, although it's going to cover various career areas instead. So here we have, these gray, this is all the different career areas there. If a career field matches up with one of those interest categories that you mentioned, it'll turn blue. And of course, red means it's matched 2 or more. So that's going to be a pretty strong match. So this is going to enable you to say, all right, this is what I think I want to do. You've independently kind of assessed what your interests are. Do those align? Are you going to be satisfied in this particular field? Are you going to be satisfied with this major? Is that major going to align with the career that you want to go into? If yes, that's fantastic. You've got a plan, and not only for what to do in college, but afterwards. If not, it's better to figure these things out now rather than wait till you're in college, maybe halfway through a degree program that you're not satisfied with, because it can be difficult to have credits transfer across to various other unrelated fields. And of course, that means more time in university and time that you're not spending reaching your particular goal. Now, if you have further information about this, you have a guide here in your ACT profile, Impact Your Future, Get Set for College. And Heather is going to add the PDF link to this there in the chat for you. So you can go ahead and download this. You can look through it, after this session here today. You can also, of course, find this from your ACT profile. It's got lots of great advice on how to plan this next step after the ACT. Remember, the ACT is just kind of like that doorway. You got to walk through it, but it's not about the door. It's about what's on the other side. What opportunities are opening up for you after taking the ACT. So I've talked a lot about how to look at your score report, what those scores mean. So now it's time to do, again, some self-reflection. So remember, the ACT is not a pass-fail test. It depends on what is going to be good for you to, hit your two aims: getting admitted to your target college university and setting yourself up for success once you're there. So, you don't have to tell us. You certainly can tell us if you like, but you don't have to tell us, did you pass for you? But it is something that you want to be reflecting upon. And if you're like, yes, well, congratulations. That is fantastic. Cyber high five for that, because you are now ready for that next step. And if you're thinking, maybe not, then you probably have some questions right now. Like, well, should I take it again? But what if my score goes down? I'm kind of satisfied with it. So if I do worse, then what happens? But maybe I could do better. So is it worth the risk? And how do I decide? Fortunately, Heather, Greg, Laura, and myself, we can help you decide if you should take the ACT over again. Now, I want you to tell me in the chat, if you just take it, like if you just take the ACT again tomorrow, or like you take it one day, you get your score report, and you just take it the next day. What do you think? Are your scores going to go up? Are your scores going to stay the same? Are your scores going to go down? What determines whether or not your scores go up, go down, or stay the same? I guess that's the real question. Is it just fate? Maybe I got lucky that last time. What does determine? What can you take control over that would determine whether or not your score went up, stayed the same, or went down? So certainly if you'd never taken the ACT before, and then you just took it immediately after without doing anything, you may be slightly more familiar with it. But by and large, remember, there's those score ranges. So if you don't do any preparation in between taking the test once and taking it again, that score range that you see on your score report, you're likely to score back in that range. If you're on the upper end of that range, then you could stay there or you could drop a point. If you're on the lower end of the range, you could stay there, you could go up a point, but you're likely to stay in that same score range, because without doing any additional preparation, you're very likely to still have the same level of proficiency with those skills. So here are some things to consider whether or not you should retest. So first off, does your current score meet the requirements of your target school? If not, then this could be an indication that you will want to retest. Tell us in the chat here, where can you find the requirements of your target schools? This information is out there, and in fact, it is information that you want to have, not just after the fact, but you want to have this information going in, because it's also going to help you set a goal for yourself. So if you look at the college admissions website, it's usually there. You can look at something called the 25 to 75th percentile. That's going to help you determine where your scores lie in terms of competitiveness within that particular institution. Did you have problems on test day? Maybe there was something about your first taking of the test or your second or your most recent administration of the test that didn't allow you to showcase what you can really do. Maybe you didn't understand the directions. Maybe you misgridded, skipped a bubble. Maybe you just felt sick in the middle of it and just were feeling off the whole day. If there's anything like that happen, well, yeah, you probably should retest. If you didn't get to put your best foot forward, then you want to give yourself that opportunity to do so. And of course, we're talking about these scores as reflective of success and reflective of what you've done currently up to this point in your high school career. So if you don't think these reflect your skills, if you say, well, I do really well in school, I feel like I understand this, I get great grades, and my ACT scores just don't showcase that. They just don't demonstrate the type of good student that I am to a college or university official, then that would be another indication that you should probably retest if you don't think that those scores are indicative of your performance to date. So a couple good things to think about if you're thinking about possibly retesting. So in the class of 2015, notice about 45% of students tested 2 or more times. So if you decide to retest, you're not alone. You're in fact in not quite the majority here, but you're definitely not alone. There's a lot of students who have decided that retesting is going to be in their best interest. We see about 50% of students test just the once, but a good number test 2 or more times. And in terms of, will it make a difference? So this is just the data from ACT on what happened when students retook it. So 21% didn't see a change in their score, but 22% decreased and 57% increased. So if you want to be one of these students that is over here in the 57% increase, what could you do? What could you do to ensure that you're going to be here in this 57% that saw their score go up when they take the test again, rather than be, in the minority here? But, if you're in there, it doesn't matter what the statistics say. You don't want to be in the score group that went down. What can you do? I'm seeing some of you are asking this. How can I increase my score? Yeah, if I don't study, how do I study? That's what you need to do. So you need to do something. And fortunately, the ACT is a test you can study and prepare for. Think back to those specific skills. You can know exactly what to work on. You can know exactly what you're getting right, and you can figure out exactly what you're getting wrong so that you can set up a plan for yourself that is going to help you showcase your potential on test day. So by the way, if you're thinking about retesting, the registration deadline for April is coming up. So March 3rd, next Friday, this Friday, actually, if we consider today to be part of this week, is the registration deadline for the next administration of the ACT. That's the April 8th test date. Of course, there's still plenty of time to register for the June date as well, but those are the last 2 of this kind of school year before we hit the summer. So I'm seeing some questions. So for someone who never studies, what is the best way to study? The first thing is get a plan. Hold yourself accountable to yourself. Now, ACT has partnered with Kaplan to give you, in fact, all the tools that you would need to set yourself up for success on test day. So if you're someone who's saying, I don't even know where to start, how would I even go about this? Well, the platform that we're here right now, this is powered by ACT Online Prep Live, official with the ACT and Kaplan. And what this gives you access to is an official ACT practice test from ACT.org. There is live and on-demand instruction. The live instruction works very similar to this platform that you're on right now. Greg and Heather are also some of our on-cam instructors here. So live instruction. In fact, I was just in a class with both Heather and Greg. We were talking about the writing test. So you get this one-on-one. You can interact. You can ask questions, and then there's also this on-demand instruction because all of the sessions have been recorded, so you can access these. Think of it almost like the Netflix of ACT prep, right? So you're like, you know what? I want to watch a movie. I want to watch some ACT English prep. You can go do that at any time because it is on demand. And then, of course, there's also live courses that you could attend as well. Personalized study plans based on your actual ACT results. So I know we went down, we broke through, what your scores mean, what your sub-scores mean. Wouldn't it be nice if someone could also just do that for you? If ACT experts could do that for you? They do. ACT Online Prep Live gives you that personalized study plan so you know exactly what next step you should take. And of course, working with some of Kaplan's best and brightest ACT experts like Laura, like Greg, like Heather. There's a great team. Seriously, they're ACT experts for a reason. Expertise all around. And you never just have one instructor. You always have multiple experts with you at any time so that you can ensure that all of your questions are being answered and that you are getting exactly what you need for test day. By the way, if you registered for the exam with a fee waiver, this is free. So it is free for all students who register for the exam under a fee waiver. If you don't have a fee waiver, or you don't qualify for a fee waiver, it is also one of the best values out there in terms of test prep. We'll talk a little bit about that. So here on ACT Online Prep Live, you have 2,400 of ACT practice questions. And of course, you don't have to do these all at once, nor do we recommend that you do these all at once. But you can think about that study plan. So when you think, okay, what should I do? You look at your study plan, and your study plan says, all right, you should be focusing on geometry questions that deal with circles. Great. You can go to your online Prepline homepage, and you can find geometry questions that deal with circles, and you can practice those. You can look for organization questions that ask you about intros and conclusions, and you can practice those. So you can really target what you are practicing and what you are aiming for. Once you have practiced a little bit, you've done some questions, you've done some content, there are 2 full-length ACT practice tests. The best place to learn what you don't yet know, those skills you still want to be working on, the absolute best place to do that is on a practice test, right? Where it doesn't count against you. If you take an official ACT practice test on online program, you get all the information from a score report without actually having an official score report that you have to send to colleges. So it's like all the benefits of knowing what to do next, with none of the risk of not doing well. I saw a great question come into the chat, which I want to address here. Punky Monkey says, where can I go to check out the ACT Kaplan Online Prep Live website? At the ACT website? Yes, off of act.org. You can, in fact, there's also a link here on your screen just below here that you can go ahead and check that out. But yes, this is powered through act.org. This is act.org's official preparation program. There's also some short form ACTs, so you can like just do a math test, just do an English test, or a science, or a reading, and you have all of those there as well. And of course, you can see here on our tracker, it tells you how many questions, you can see whether you completed it or not, you can see how well you did, and there's lots. So up here, we've got all these other things. What are some of these other links to? Links to flashcards. If you're a flashcard learner, you can access some digital flashcards with terms, with formulas. But here's the real benefit: 28 and counting hours of unique instruction. And unique instruction, we're not like, boy, aren't these Kaplan instructors unique? Although I do like to think we all have very good personalities. Unique instruction means without overlap. So there's 28 hours of different instruction, talking about different content, different question types. And then, of course, like I say, these go in depth. So you don't just have a session on math. You have a session on Algebra 1, or Algebra 2, or Geometry 1, or Geometry 2. You don't just have a session on English. You have a session on punctuation, or idioms, or agreement. So all of these lessons, so everything, and this is a powerful word, everything that's covered on the ACT is covered in ACT Kaplan Online Prep Live. You have, like I said, 2,400 practice questions. That's a ton of practice questions. And it covers everything that you are going to encounter on test day. And now, this live instruction is based with you in mind. We know that you are busy. You've got school during the day. You probably have extracurriculars after school, or maybe jobs, or maybe volunteer. So these live classes we tend to structure them around your schedule. So we're looking at weekday evenings as well as weekends. But then, of course, if you can't attend the live classes, like I say, there's that on-demand instruction. So, I mean, you could access it. I do not recommend this. You know, you're awake at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, and you're like, man, you know, it would really help me In my future, if I thought about how to passage map right now for the reading comprehension test, you could do it. Don't recommend it. Probably go get some sleep. But it is there all the time. So, so that's there. And then, of course, it's not just content. Things like goal setting, time management. Here's a really popular one, managing test anxiety. So these are life skills. They're also skills that are going to help prepare you for the ACT, because it's great if you know that you need to study, but if you don't know when you're going to study, or if you don't hold yourself accountable, then it doesn't matter. You could have all the questions in the world at your disposal. You could have all the practice tests available, but if you never set aside time to do it, or if every time you thought about doing it, you started to get all worked up, then that wouldn't allow you to take full advantage of it. So we also have these study skills sessions, and sessions on time management, goal setting. There's a lot of other ones as well, working through a study space, overcoming obstacles, lots of various sessions there as well. And outside of the classroom, so of course, when you're in class, you have, or when you're in these live lessons, you can get live one-on-one, just like you're getting from Greg and from Laura and from Heather, and of course, myself on camera, whoever's leading the class. Outside, there's a moderated discussion forum. I know Laura is one of our moderators that deals with those out of class questions. So she's always making sure that students have their questions answered even outside of class all the time. So I'm seeing some questions that are like, all right, I'm assuming you have to pay. We will definitely talk about that. It is, there is a fee associated with it if you're not a fee waiver student. A couple more things you have here. Detailed performance reports. There you go. It's all the personalization of your score report that you get when you take the official ACT with none of the risk. Recommendations based on your own performance and all the prep that you need for test day. Here we have, in fact, here's another one of our instructors. So this is what it looks like, set up like this classroom here. This is Kristen. Kristen's talking about a reading comprehension lesson here. By the way, you can also access on mobile. So here we have it on a mobile device. So this is, all of the instruction comes from Kaplan test prep experts. So this is what we do. We didn't become ACT experts by chance. This is our jam. We love talking about the ACT and helping you on that journey towards your higher score. So we're preparing you for everything that you're going to see there. And then, of course, I mentioned our off-camera instructors, who are all ACT experts in their own right. In fact, most of our off-camera instructors also work on camera, and on camera work off camera. So you've got a ton of expertise, at your disposal. And we talked about those discussion moderators as well. If you want to sign up for Online Prep Live, you can do it when you sign up for the ACT. So when you register, if you plan to register for that April test, March 3rd is the deadline. You can add it there when you register, so you can bundle it with test registration. If you've already registered for the ACT, if you're already planning to retake the test, you can add Online Prep Live without registering for a new test. So you can just go and add this on and get it separately. If you've already subscribed to ACT Online Prep, so this is the platform that has the resources and the tests without the instructional component, you can upgrade from your ACT Online Prep app. So that will allow you to access the instructional videos as well as all of the live content. So I know there were some questions about the different ways that you could subscribe to ACT Online Prep Live. You can have a 6-week subscription. This costs $99.95. So for $100, you're getting 6 weeks of everything that you are going to see on ACT test day. So if you are planning to take the April test, this will just about get you there. So this is going to be good if you're planning to take the April test and nothing else. Now, if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I'm going to be ready then, we've got some promos going on because you were here for this Scores Back event. You can get 20% off if you use the code RETEST. There's a 12 and a 24-week subscription. The 12-week subscription, this is going to allow you to prep for, both of the April as well as the June test. 24-week, this is going to allow you to continue to prepare over the summer. Once you subscribe, it is unlimited. So you could watch the same lesson with 4 different instructors. You could watch the same lesson with the same instructor if you really like that instructor, if you wanted. There's no limit on how often or how frequently you can access this material. So there it is. For 12 weeks, it'll be $143.95. And again, you're getting access to some of the nation's leading test preparation experts here at Kaplan, and in 24 weeks as well. And you can just see that there is a link right below. In fact, here it is. Here's another one of our ACT online prep instructors. Here's Steve Snyder. So Steve is going on, and he is describing some of these additional sections, the goal setting, the manage test anxiety. So we got a good team. Now, if you're happy with your ACT score, I know I mentioned this earlier, I want to come back to it. If you're in that camp, I mean, big congratulations. That is really exciting. Take a look at the college map, the major map, the career map from your ACT profile, and get yourself squared away in terms of where you want to go and what do you want to study. If you think you can do better, there is still time for that. March 3rd is that April test deadline. That June test deadline is in May. So you know that if you want to retest, the number one way to guarantee that you're in that 57% of students whose scores improve between tests is to do some targeted preparation rather than just hope for fate to take over and maybe magically you'll do better. You do want to focus on those skills. Look at those score ranges. Look at your score report. Go online to your score report or go to act.org to that education and career tab and see what those skills are that's going to move you into that next score range. Focus there first. Start looking at what's going to move you up into that next score bracket. Of course, if you want extra help, that is what we are here for. We would be thrilled to help move you up into this group, the Happy with Your ACT score group, after your next test administration. So if go ahead, you can click Hit Order now. That'll take you to the online Prep Live place now. But regardless, whether you are ready to take it again, whether you are happy with it, we just want to give a big congratulations to all of you for taking that next step towards your goals, right? Again, going back to my DMV example, it's not about the driver's license. It's not about the ACT test. It's not about doing the test itself. It's what that enables you to do afterwards. So I hope the next time that you take the ACT, you're not taking it for those college officials. You are taking it for yourself because you want to open those doors for yourself. You want those opportunities. All right, so we will be around. Please let us know what questions you have. Let us know what questions I can help address and answer for you here. Otherwise, at this point, you should now be able to interpret your score report. You should be able to assess for yourself whether your ACT scores are good. Good meaning, are they going to set me up for college admissions? Are they going to set me up for success in my first year freshman courses? You know what that looks like and you know what that means. And if you don't think you're quite there yet, let us help. Put together a plan, re-register, retest, and let us know how we can help. All right, so I'm seeing a couple of questions about, there's a lot of choices. How do I know which one is best? So if you're talking about the various options, so think about the time that you have between now and test day. So it's not just about how much time on the calendar, but think about how much time you personally think you're going to be able to commit. So for instance, you know that there is a minimum of 28 live hours of just instruction. That doesn't include practice tests. That doesn't include any of the 2,400 practice questions. So if you think, well, 6 weeks, will I be able to make full advantage of that and use all of that in 6 weeks? If yes, great. There you go. If not, then think, okay, so how much time would I need to prepare for the next test date? Are you prepared to take the June test? Are you thinking maybe you'll take the test in September, study over the summer? So consider what you already have on your schedule right now. Think about how much preparation is available to you, and then make sure that you set enough time in between to make full use of it, to utilize it. Because you wouldn't want to rush through. Rushing, not a good strategy on the ACT. No one's score ever improved from rushing. And rushing through preparation and rushing through your studying also doesn't give you a very good head start either. In fact, it can almost be detrimental if you're rushing through, because you can get demoralized, you can burn out. So you want to make sure that you are regularly preparing, regularly studying, but that you're not overburdening yourself, and that you also give yourself time in between to absorb what you've learned, to think about what you've done, to review questions that you've looked at in the past. So, sorry, I saw some of those questions come in from Suzanne and from Abby, so I hope that addressed how you can help make that distinction. And if you have further questions, Greg, Heather, Laura, and myself, we are, of course, here to make sure you have all of those questions answered. I see Zachary said we just push the order now button. Yep, that'll do it. And it'll take you right there. So yep, this will take you, and you can order now. Be sure that I'll put those codes up here. The promo code is Retest. So make sure that you enter that in the promo code area, because you were here, you know why this is going to make a difference for you, you know how your scores matter. So you've got the code. All right, other questions that I see that everyone is asking here. So is the personalized study plan included? Yes. So when you take a practice ACT, or when you sync it, if you already have an ACT score report and you go onto Online Prep Live, it's going to read those results. And that is going to help tailor what the next best place for you to start is. So it'll recommend lessons that you should be taking. It'll show you where you are, what specific skills, what specific questions you should be focusing on to help get you to that next step. So a couple questions saying, how long is this promo code good for? I believe this promo code is good through the March 3rd test registration. So the March 3rd deadline for April. All right. Well, we are going to continue to keep that chat open so that we can continue to address all of your questions. But I'm going to go ahead and dig into the chat myself so I can go ahead and answer those questions there. Thank you so much for joining us for this ACT Scores Back event. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Greg and Heather and Laura and all of us here at ACT Kaplan Online Prep Live, we wish you the absolute best of luck as you continue on your journey to college success. Of course, you know that luck doesn't have anything to do with it. It's all about confidence and preparation. So we wish you the best in that as well. All right, take care, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your week.